What have I done with the car lately? Not a lot. Just leaving one of the local car cruises here. I've done a bunch of those, but I haven't done a lot of other things. As in, I haven't done a lot of modifications to the car. So what I have done to this car recently is I've finally put an adjustment dial on for power adjustment, basically. Remember, this is a centrifugal supercharged car, so it has a Vortech YSI. Right, so today we went out and made 3 draggy runs, just adjusting the power dial settings. The 3 settings we used were number 2, 6, and 10. It's a 12 position switch, so the difference between 1 and 2 or 5 and 6 isn't really as dramatic as it sounds, so it's difficult to show it, and I didn't want to go out there and make 12 different draggy runs. So setting 2 on the power dial is the least powerful that we use today. There is one less powerful, but the car, frankly, is like valet mode in that. So setting 2 is the least powerful. Setting 6 is kind of the average I'm driving around every day on setting 6. And setting 10 is the most powerful I typically run on the street. So let's take a look at the draggy numbers and see the difference that actually made with the car.
All right, before we get into the actual data logs, I just wanted to show you this is the trim pot that I'm using. It is a 12 position switch is all it really is.
Something to keep in mind, these draggy times aren't exactly earth-shattering. We're not setting any records here. Cruising around on some 18-inch wheels, no burnouts, just stopping on whatever unprepped road I happen to be on, making a rip. So don't compare these draggy times to, you know, people that are out there really trying, or people that are at the track and recording the draggy. This car slicked up would be a different animal, but this is what I've got right now, and it's a good comparison just to see the power that this power adjustment dial can make. So bear that in mind. Okay, what is of note on these draggy files is look at the mile per hour it goes. I know, I apologize guys, I only ran it to the 8th mile on these. There's several reasons for that, but look at the mile per hour it picks up. It goes from 95 miles an hour on setting 2 to 100 and almost 105 miles an hour on setting 10. That's where really the power is. If you notice, you can watch those. The 60 foots are all about the same. The 0 to 60s are about the same. But when you start putting power in, you know, to show mile per hour at the 8th mile and beyond, it gains considerable mile per hour as you turn the power up. One more thing, I'm going to share some of my Holley settings for this adjustment dial, the power dial as I'm calling it, right after this. Now, a lot of you guys that maybe aren't tuning your own Holley or don't care, this is where you can sign off, right? But if you're interested to see how I set up the tables in the Holley, this is what this is all showing.
So these are the 2 tables that my power dial, the AEM pot, actually controls in the Holley. This table on the left-hand side is actually controlling the blow-off valve, allowing me to dump boost out of the car, and it can dump with the with the party pulley on it and high RPMs. It can dump as much as 10 pounds of boost. And then the table on the, did I say the left? Well, I hope I did. Anyway, this table on the left controls boost. The table on the right is a timing table. You can see it's a little more complex, but it's basically the same. With the dial down here at the low numbers, I don't have hardly any timing in the car. This is like valet mode on this car. It makes so little power, it feels broken. And then you can see what I do is I progressively add more timing back into the car as you move the power dial up in settings. I typically run the car on the street somewhere in this range. These are voltages we're seeing over here, so it's somewhere in this 1.83 to 2.74 range on the street usually. Now you'll see for any street settings, I pull 3 degrees of timing everywhere. These top two tables are kind of track only. I don't pull any timing on this top table. That's where it makes the most power. I pull 1.5 degrees on this one, and you'll see that for the boost settings, I'm not dumping any boost in those settings. So if I'm having issues at the track, I can't get down the track, the car won't launch well, I can go I can just make an adjustment knob real fast and get the car into one of these tables that does dump boost. If I'm really having a problem, I could break out the laptop and adjust some of these at the track. So you'll see down here, I mean, I'm pulling 15 degrees of timing, 12 degrees of timing. Even in, this is a very common setting. Let's say this 229 line right here, I'm still pulling significant timing. I'm pulling 10 degrees at 15 to 24 miles an hour to try and get some traction. And then I progressively give that back in until I'm not going, I'm going 80 miles an hour before it has what I'm considering full timing on the street here. So the way it works is typically a blow-off valve has a vacuum line that goes to the top of it, so that when it sees vacuum, it can open the blow-off valve and hold it open. And when it sees boost, it will close the blow-off valve and keep all the boost in the engine. What I'm doing is I'm using a Mac valve to switch the port between the top and the bottom of the, I'm sorry, not switch the port, but switch the port. I'm switching the vacuum line feed from the top of the blow-off valve to the bottom of the blow-off valve, so that when I'm seeing boost, I'm feeding boost into the bottom of the blow-off valve, which holds it open and dumps boost out of it. And then when I switch it back, it will close the blow-off valve, so I can control at what speed or RPM or whatever I want. In this case, I'm using speed to control that blow-off valve. So between dumping boost and dumping timing, that's how I control power on this car.
Anyway, as always, ask any questions you want in the comments, and I'll try and address anything that I didn't cover in detail here. All right? Thank you.